Baseline, your special economic weekly program on VTV4. I'm your host, Linh Hương. We are approaching the end of 2015, a year full of economic and business events and developments. So in this last episode of Baseline in 2015, let's review what have made headlines in the economic scene for the past year.
2015 is considered a year of integration for Vietnam's economy, with a flurry of free trade agreement underway. On May the 5th, 2015, Vietnam and South Korea officially signed the Vietnam-Korea Free Trade Agreement after 2 years of negotiations. On May the 29th, Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng and his counterparts from the Eurasian Economic Union, or EEU's member states, signed a free trade agreement, bringing the total number of FTAs signed so far to 10. In 2015 marked the conclusion of negotiations of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, or TPP.
We, the trade ministers of Australia, Brunei Darussalam, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, the United States, and Vietnam are pleased to announce that we have successfully concluded the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
The TPP is considered the largest trade deal in history, representing 800 million people and 40% of global GDP. Also this year, the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement, or EVFTA, officially concluded. The EVFTA is currently the most ambitious and comprehensive trade deal that the EU has ever conducted with a developing country. And with the ASEAN Economic Community commencing on December 31st, 2015 marks the cornerstone in Vietnam's entry into the global playing field.
2015 has been a difficult year for Vietnam's monetary and foreign exchange policies. The State Bank of Vietnam broke its commitments to cap growth at 2% this year, amid the US Federal Reserve rate spike and sudden sharp yuan devaluation. On August 12, 2015, the SBV decided to adjust the exchange rate band from about 1% to about 2% immediately after the Chinese yuan devalued to a 3-year low on August 11th. On August 19th, the SBV continued to devalue the Vietnamese dong by an additional 1% against the US dollar and widened the trading band for the Vietnamese dong to 3%. Overall in 2015, the SBV has depreciated the dong by 3% against the greenback and widened the dong over dollar trading band from 1% to 3%. Experts believe that these moves have enabled the dong to have greater room to move amid increased volatility on international and local markets. This can help ensure stability for the forex market and the competitiveness of Vietnamese export goods.
Vietnam set a goal to equitize 432 state-owned enterprises in 2014-2015. Yet to date, the country has been unable to finish this goal. As of December 2015, Vietnam has equitized a total of 344 state-owned enterprises, including a number of parent companies of large corporations. However, the result is more positive than the 2006-2010 periods, when the equitization process met only 30% of its target. The government has also announced plans to withdraw capital from Vinamilk and equity. These moves have stimulated the market, pushing the reform process of Vietnam's state enterprises.
2015 is considered a remarkable year for the Vietnamese economy in terms of improving the business environment and national competitiveness. There have been all-out efforts from the government, ministries, sectors, and businesses. Vietnam has been on the way to meeting the improvement requirements set by two resolutions, both marked number 19, which were issued in 2014 and 2015. Since the later one, the 2015 release resolution number 19 was introduced, the time needed for taxpayers to fulfill administrative procedures has been reduced to 121.5 hours. Meanwhile, time required for export-import related administrative procedures has also been significantly reduced to between 13 and 14 days. 2015 also witnessed the introduction of the amended enterprise law, investment law, and housing law, which are supplemented with many supportive regulations for businesses. Also in this 2015 Ease of Doing Business rank, the World Bank has lifted its ranking for Vietnam from 93rd to 90th out of 189 global economies.
– 2015 marks the deadline for the Vietnamese financial system to finish a master plan to restructure its banking system over the 2011-2015 period. To date, 17 weak commercial banks have ceased to exist in the market through a host of merger and acquisition activities, purchase of common stocks, and even more drastic measures. Most recently, the State Bank of Vietnam, the country's central bank, bought out 3 commercial banks at zero Vietnamese strong. These tough moves are considered unprecedented but necessary to ensure the health of the Vietnamese banking system. The central bank's determination to restructure the financial market and resolve bad debts has been highly appreciated by international credit rating agencies. A report by Moody's showed their positive outlook for the Vietnamese economy. The rating agency rates Vietnam at B1, one level higher than the previous year. This is due to the country's stable economic growth, stable assets, and the high liquidity of the financial market. Bloomberg also forecasts positively on the economic situation of Vietnam, saying that investors' confidence has been much improved following the restructuring efforts and many successful merger and acquisition transactions.
2015 saw continuous global oil price reductions, reaching a 6-year record low of $43 per barrel. This has big but both positive and negative impacts on the Vietnamese economy. Specifically, each $1 drop in the global oil price will result in large losses for the state budget's revenue, which is being estimated at $45 to $55 million. There have been concerns over the negative impact of the global oil price plunge on total government expenditure. Nevertheless, according to economic experts, oil price reductions have been impacting the domestic economy in a positive manner. Lower oil prices will result in lower prices of its derivative products, namely petrol prices. As a result, consumers will benefit from lower prices of commodities, such as fertilizer, plastic products, and so on. Therefore, businesses can expand their operations and in return benefit the economy. However, regarding the continuous state budget deficit, this may bring in more public debt. If the case even gets worse, public debt may climb and rapidly reach its peak at 64.9% of GDP, almost the limit of 65% public debt proposed by the National Assembly.
Those are several economic and business highlights in 2015. We'll continue to talk about the prospects for trade and investment between Vietnam and Indonesia in our crosstalk. Indonesia and Vietnam will celebrate the 60th anniversary of diplomatic ties on December 30th. For the past few decades, the two countries' economic relations have gone from strength to strength, with two-way trade turnover hitting $5.4 billion last year. This figure is expected to be raised to $10 billion in 2018. In today's Crosstalk, let's review Vietnam and Indonesia trade and investment ties and discuss the prospects of economic cooperation for the two countries with Mr. Maya Faz, Indonesian ambassador to Vietnam. Thank you very much for being here with us in our show today.
Thank you to have me here.
And before we talk, let's take a look at the following.
As part of the activities to celebrate 60 years of diplomatic ties between Vietnam and Indonesia, a trade fair and business forum took place in Hanoi earlier this month as a chance for both nations' enterprises to set up business links. Over 100 Indonesian companies in various sectors came to Vietnam to showcase their products and services. TPS Food is a leading Indonesian company in the food sector. The company is a market leader in Indonesia regarding dried noodles, biscuits, candy and snacks. Coming to this event, the company is hoping to expand and seek partners in the Vietnamese market.
Vietnam and Indonesia have an identical taste. Based on our experience, some of the products here, mostly is acceptable for your tongue to taste, and our company want to establish a reliable partner to market our product and distribute in Vietnam.
The Indonesia-Vietnam Business Forum features companies in a wide range of fields such as automobile and spare parts, construction, pharmaceutical, food and beverage. Now, most of these businesses have never invested in Vietnam, making this one of the biggest scouting trips ever organized by Indonesian firms in Vietnam. The event is expected to bring about huge cooperation potential for firms from both nations. According to Soha Rio, Director of Business Empowerment of Indonesia, the event is among Indonesia's efforts to achieve the target of $10 billion trade value with Vietnam in 2018 and prepare for the establishment of the ASEAN Economic Community.
It means that they are realized that now the coming years are the start of the beginning of the ASEAN Economic Community, and which is that Vietnam is one of the emerging country in this ASEAN region. So they are interested, they want to have a partnership with the Vietnamese companies.
I think that Vietnam and Indonesia, we are lying in the very good strategic location. It means we are lying in the East Sea and Asia Pacific region. So I think that all the kind of industry related to sea is a very potential for Vietnamese and Indonesian businesses to cooperate and move forward.
According to statistics, two-way trade turnover between Vietnam and Indonesia in 2014 reached $5.4 billion. This year, the two sides set a two-way trade target of $10 billion in 2018. And the Indonesia-Vietnam Business Forum has opened up cooperation opportunities for the two countries, helping promote the growth and trade and investment between the two nations.
Ambassador Maya Faz, Vietnam and Indonesia have been determined to foster trade links as evident in various bilateral meetings and forums held recently. And drawing from your experience, could you share with us why are more and more Indonesian businesses interested in trading with Vietnam?
Thank you. There are many factors of that. First, it's about the understanding. More Indonesia people right now, especially business community, understand about Vietnam. Now they understand of the prospect of Vietnam, the current economic development of Vietnam, the current situation in Vietnam. And the second one is because of the fast-growing economy of Vietnam. As you know, for the last 10 years, more than 10 years, Vietnam is one of the fast-growing economy, not only in the region, but also in the world. Before that, business community in Indonesia look only the big market that they know, but they didn't know that there are big potential for the fast-growing economy of Vietnam. Now they understand, and now they would like to be present in Vietnam.
Let's talk more on the trade between the two countries. Yeah. What are the main export items from Vietnam and from Indonesia? And are Indonesian and Vietnamese export items complementary or competitive, in your opinion?
We see that our export is complementary. As you know, Vietnam export a lot of agriculture product to Indonesia. We are one of the largest buyer of Vietnamese rice, let's say. We are also buy a lot of coffee from Vietnam. We import a lot of handphone product, telephone product from Vietnam. We are growing, and demand from our people also growing, and we expect and we are sure that the import from Vietnam will be also much growing in the future.
According to the Ministry of Industry and Trade, two-way trade between Vietnam and Indonesia reached $5.4 billion in 2014. Over the first 9 months of this year, the figure posted at nearly $3.5 billion, up 6% from the same period last year. Vietnam mainly exported telephones and telephone parts, iron, steel, machines, textiles, rice and coffee to Indonesia, while importing rubber items, mineral fuel, wood products, candies, and cereals from this market. According to experts, Indonesia is a potential market for Vietnamese enterprises, especially when the ASEAN Economic Community comes into being. Interested enterprises should pay attention to and boost the export of agricultural products such as rice, fruits and vegetables, agricultural products for which Indonesia has high demand and their domestic production cannot meet. Now, earlier this year, Foreign Minister Phạm Bình Minh and Indonesian Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi have vowed to work together for the target of raising two-way trade turnover to $10 billion in 2018. In your opinion, is this a realistic figure?
Yes, very realistic. And we are optimistic right now that we can reach the target maybe in 2016 or 17, ahead of 2018. We expect from Indonesia the figure can be reached in 2017. While we are trying to reach the target ahead of 2018, we are also trying hard to make this figure is balanced. So trade between Indonesia and Vietnam balanced. It's benefit for both countries.
So what do you think are needed from both countries in order to achieve this target?
In this regard, government should provide a forum, should promote each other. We also encourage Vietnamese government and invite Vietnamese government to promote more Vietnam in Indonesia and to bring more Vietnamese business community come to Indonesia to see Indonesia, to look to what potential in Indonesia have, and to find a good partner here. So as a government, we have to provide a forum for our business community to meet each other and let them find what the benefit and what opportunities are available for them. The only challenge that we have is to make more cooperation between business community. Government don't do a business, but private sector have. So how the private sector can develop their relation to enhance, to expand their relation.
This October, Vietnam won a rice deal to export 1 million tons of rice to Indonesia. So to Vietnamese firms, especially in agriculture sector, Indonesia is a huge market with 250 million people. So how do you assess the potential of cooperation in agriculture between Vietnam and Indonesia in the future?
Yeah, as you know, we need a lot of agriculture product, agriculture community from Vietnam. Indonesia, one of the largest buyer of Vietnamese rice, and with 250 million people, with the growing economy, we need much more. We need a lot of coffee from Vietnam, paper, and fisheries product, we buy a lot from Vietnam, and we expect the trend is growing. As Indonesian economy is growing, the demand from the people also growing. We have to import more from Vietnam in the future.
So far, which sectors have been at the forefront of Indonesian investment in Vietnam?
Indonesian companies have come to Vietnam since early of openness of Vietnamese economy. Viet Minh Do, Jaffa. So in many areas, we expect more on food product, fisheries, agriculture, cement also. We also expect there are more manufacture investment coming from Indonesia coming to Vietnam in the near future. And right now, many companies are looking for partner in Vietnam.
Could you cite some specific Indonesian projects that are underway or planned in Vietnam?
Cement, one of them. Food product. Last month alone, there are around 15 Indonesian companies come to my office and ask me to find rules and regulation to invest in Vietnam, and ask me to assist them to find a partner in Vietnam. So there are many sectors that company have deal with. Food, as I said, fisheries, commodity, pharmacy, medicine, pharmacy, and cement. Yeah.
Now, as you mentioned earlier, Indonesian companies, when they want to invest in Vietnam, they want to establish joint ventures instead of wholly subsidiary.
Yeah.
Why is it?
Indonesia export to many countries.
Right.
With partnership, Vietnam can establish cooperation with Indonesian company to go to third country, and also from Indonesian for Indonesian companies, they can use this partnership to make use for export of Vietnam in the third country. So it's one of the strategy of Indonesian company to make to find a good partner in Vietnam.
So what do you think are the biggest challenges facing Indonesian companies investing and doing businesses in Vietnam?
Although some Indonesian company have come to Vietnam for the last 20 or 30 years, So the challenge for them is that how to understand doing business in Vietnam. For many companies of Indonesia, Vietnam is the new market, a new partner. They need to know more, more about Vietnam, how to deal with Vietnamese companies, how to do business in Vietnam. It is the biggest challenge, I think.
Big population of 250 million people and a large proportion of people of productive age are the two main factors that make Indonesia an appealing investment destination. Data from The Economist shows that in 2015, Indonesia holds the second position as the world investment destination, losing only to China. FDI to Indonesia reached $22 billion last year. Investors see Indonesia as the gateway to the ASEAN market because 40% of the ASEAN population and 36% of economic activities in the region were in Indonesia. Several Vietnamese companies, including Kangaroo and FPT, have made initial investment in Indonesia. Smaller firms, mainly in IT and telecommunication industries such as Apota, Mworks, Clever Ads, and NovaOn, have opened branches and offices in Indonesia. NovaOn, a Hanoi-based company, has expanded its digital marketing business in Indonesia for a few months.
Với khoảng trên 80 triệu user đang sử dụng Internet, thị trường về digital marketing cũng đang rất là phát triển. Tại năm 2014 thì cái dung lượng thị trường về digital marketing đã lên đến con số là khoảng 800 triệu đô. Trong cái trục kinh tế của ASEAN thì Indo là nước mà có đông dân số nhất. Bất kỳ cái doanh nghiệp quốc tế và doanh nghiệp mang tính khu vực nào thì chắc chắn là họ không thể bỏ qua thị trường Indo được.
According to Novaon CEO, there are few things about doing business in Indonesia that Vietnamese firms should be aware of.
Ở Jakarta là thủ đô của Indo thì tỷ lệ người ta sử dụng tiếng Anh thì cũng không quá cao. Đấy là một cái rào cản. Chúng tôi làm mọi thứ bằng tiếng Anh thì chưa đủ, chúng ta cần phải biết cụ thể là tiếng Bahasa. Tỷ lệ các bạn đạo hồi ở bên nó thì cũng rất là lớn, mà đạo hồi thì có những cái nghi thức mà nó rất là đặc biệt. Ví dụ như là bạn ấy có thể là một người nhân viên ấy, thì người ta một ngày người ta phải đi ra, người ta gọi là cầu nguyện một vài lần, nên mình phải chấp nhận chuyện đấy. Mức độ cạnh tranh toàn cầu ở Jakarta mạnh hơn ở Việt Nam, tức là rất nhiều cái doanh nghiệp mang tính toàn cầu và doanh nghiệp mang tính khu vực họ đã sang bên đó, và thậm chí là họ nghĩ đến chuyện sang Jakarta trước khi sang Việt Nam.
Several Vietnamese firms have opened subsidiaries or branches in Indonesia. Could you elaborate on the opportunities of investing and doing businesses in Indonesia from the point of view of Vietnamese companies?
It's not easy to me to say one sector, because every opportunity is there. We would like Vietnamese telecommunication company come to Indonesia for 250 million people, huge market. Vietnamese telecommunication is present in Timor-Leste also. We would like to invite them to come to Indonesia to see the opportunities there. So there are many more.
Now, taking this a step further, with the establishment of the ASEAN Economic Community, what new opportunities are opening up for both Vietnamese and Indonesian business communities?
ASEAN Economic Community provide a lot of huge opportunity, not only for Indonesia and Vietnam, but also for the whole ASEAN. ASEAN Economic Community is how the more than 600 million people cooperate each other, complement each other for their own benefit. In this regard, Indonesia and as the largest country in the south, and Vietnam as the largest country in the north, if these two countries cooperate each other, I think we will open huge opportunity, because also we have a strategic location, and we are a rich country in everything. Huge natural resources. We are also big population. Indonesia 250, and Vietnam is almost 100 now, I think. So we have a lot of things, a lot in common, and we also the fast-growing economy in the world, Indonesia and Vietnam. So there are many opportunities. So that's why also we are really optimistic about our relation with Vietnam.
Ambassador Mayafaz, thank you very much for spending your time with us in our show today.
Thank you.
We are only days away till the year's end when the ASEAN Economic Community is officially established. This will open more opportunities in trade and investment among ASEAN countries, including Vietnam and Indonesia. We hope that our talk with Ambassador Mayafaz has offered you some insights into the two countries' potential for trade and investment. Many thanks for being with us. And that's all we have for this episode of Beast Line. To rewatch our program, simply log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/vtv4go. From our team here in Hanoi, until next time.